Hello, how are you doing? It's Evalynne Charmer here from EdElf Child Therapy Limited and the Child Hypnotherapy Institute. Just wanted to have a little introduction to our stress responses because one of the things I do working with children, people, and their parents and carers is a lot of self-awareness around our survival coping strategies, how we actually work as human beings and normalizing our stress responses. Because a lot of the time, especially if we've had a lot of like these responses or they feel quite extreme, people report all the time that they feel out of control. And self-awareness about this is a really positive step towards regaining some feelings of control back and understanding yourself. So I'm hoping you can see this. There are typical fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses. I'm just going to briefly go through them with you. Most people have one or two dominant stress responses that they typically fall back into as their main mode of, well, it's survival and strategies, really. We're designed, aren't we, to stay here, stay alive and stay safe. So this is what this is about. And these stress triggers happen whether something's really happening, or it's perceived threat in our minds. So the first one that a lot of people can relate to is a fight response, where there's self-preservation at all costs. There might be explosions of temper or outbursts or destruction, angry, controlling of themselves or others. Bullying can happen, not being able to hear or respond to other points of view. Some people might have a pronounced sense of entitlement, be demanding perfection from others, or be dictatorial. And that fight response is something that can be typically mislabeled as being narcissistic or a sociopath or having a conduct disorder, whereas it's actually a natural response to stress. And all stress and anxiety comes down to fear, and all fear comes down to our thoughts. So some of the work that I do is helping children to, and the parents and carers and other family members to learn how to manage and control unhelpful thoughts. But that's another talk. The second one is flight. And as I said earlier, these can be conjunct. They're not, some people experience bits of all of them. And that's kind of, it can lead to sort of obsessive compulsive type behaviors, feelings of panic and anxiety. People can be rushing around or overworking or over worrying about things, can't sit still, being very fidgety, might feel really tired but actually restless at the same time. Some people might try to micromanage then situations or other people. Some people who are in a sort of constant state of flight mode might seem to be always on the go, busy doing things, wanting things to be perfect. A lot of people are overachievers. Some people develop something called atelophobia, which is a fear of being seen to make mistakes. And that can also be mislabeled as OCD, bipolar, ADHD, panic disorders, mood disorders, those sorts of things, because these traits are similar in those diagnoses. And then we've got freeze, just not being able to do anything, isolating self, hibernating, wanting to just hide, spacing out, feeling unreal or disconnected, disassociating, experiencing brain fog, which means that we have difficulties making decisions or acting on decisions, being achievement phobic, and feeling sort of dead, listless. And that can be mislabeled as clinical depression, sometimes schizophrenia, ADD, DID, those kinds of diagnoses. And the last one is a fairly new one that's added to the mix of stress responses. It's called fawning, where somebody might trip over themselves to please people, might be scared to say what they really think, might talk about others instead of themselves, might flatter other people, or do anything they can to avoid conflict. Some people can then not face their own anxieties, worries, or things that are stressing them out by dealing with other people's instead. They might actually struggle with having boundaries, and they could be vulnerable to exploitation, and they might be really totally focused on how they come across in society, which includes now, of course, on social media. And a lot of children and young people find their social currency, if you like, is in getting likes and followers and, people engaging with them online. And for some people, they become a yes person. And even when they don't want to do something, and that in itself can sort of build further stress and anxiety, can't it, when you think about it? And that can be mislabeled as being codependent or a victim mentality, that kind of thing. So people are experiencing these on a regular basis, and some people are in this what I call survival brain mode all of the time. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is to just remember that when we're in this stress response mode, whatever our behaviors are around it, the part of our brain that is using logic, rationale, thinking, making decisions, is switched off. They can't function at the same time. So it's really hard to reason with somebody who's in a survival response. So then once someone has a self-awareness around how they respond to stressors, it's important to help them think about the things that trigger those stresses, and also how they can communicate, how they respond with other people around them. Because what you can get is if one person's in fight mode and another person's in freeze or flight mode, that is a clash of style then, where, somebody might be wanting to resolve and getting angry and wanting to talk things through, and another person might want to run away and hide or ignore or avoid the situation. And that's where conflicts can happen. And then learning how to manage and cope and develop healthy coping strategies for bringing our stress levels down out of these stress responses is how I work in general with children, young people and their families. So I hope that's been helpful for you. I'm always open for discussion. If anybody wants to contact me, they can do so through the website, which is www.edalfchildtherapy.com. Have a good day.